Hi there. It's day 5 of body fasting journey, and yeah, I feel all right. I feel a bit low because yesterday night I found out that my relationship was over for good, and so you know why I might be feeling a teeny bit low today, and. Yeah, that's the only reason that I'm feeling emotionally low. It has distracted me as well. You know, the cognition doesn't work at optimum capacity if you're not feeling happy or content or satisfied. It doesn't operate that well if you're feeling sad. And yeah, so I was feeling sad, but through this sadness, I got great insight as well about relationships and about myself as well. So, you see, I would love to talk about it. Uh, I'm a very emotional guy when it comes to relationships, and I've never taken stress about myself. I have taken stress for others. And if you really think about it, most of the time you are dedicating your life for others. You know, when you go to work or you do business, you might find money or a good, better lifestyle or a vacation as your motivator. But at the end of the day, if you look at a bigger picture, you would realize that you're working for others in this society, and finding pleasure in that uh, is more humane than working on selfish needs, I would say. Selfish motivations would never propel you to expand your limits, but working for someone else, that emotional anger, if you have it, like for me, it could be my parents, my sister, or my best friend, my relationship partner. So yeah, she is a good person, and it does feel bad that we could not make it work. But at the end of the day, I'm a determinist as well, and whatever happens happens for a reason. There's a reason behind it, and sometimes you need to lose someone in order to grow. And that is a-okay. That said, let's get back to the emotional personality of mine. So I never take stress for myself. I usually take stress for others, and one should not take stress whatsoever. If you're living in the moment, you should not take stress. And it took me a long time to realize that. But I had a habit of taking stress for others because maybe I was raised that way. And because of that, you know, my, you could say, ego tried to created a program which is a very self-destructive cycle. It took me 30 years to realize it. So you see, if a person like me, be it a person that I am in relationship with, take this case for instance, I realized that I was trying to change things for her, you know, just to make things more comfortable for her. And in that stress, I I got I got overstressed, and instead of sharing that, communicating that properly, what self-sabotaging nature does, it tries to, because since I'm taking stress for others, so it tries to kill the relationship, because of which this it tries to end that relationship which is putting stress on me. And how do you do that? Well, it's quite simple. You get angry. So I know now that getting angry on people, being verbally abusive to others that you care for, or maybe you go way and beyond yourself. The kind of person I am, I usually go way and beyond to make things right for others, and that puts extra pressure on myself. And yeah, so that actually is wrong. That does not give me the license, just because I'm caring so much about the other person or taking so much stress to make things right for others, does not validate the reason that you should get angry on the other person. And over the years, I have tried to control it. I'm not that bad of a person, to be honest. Even in this relationship, I was angry two, 3 times maybe, because I got provoked, I got triggered for the reason that I'm working so much for the other person, and you know that happens in relationship. It's kind of like a great man gave me advice that it's kind of like a bonfire. You can't be too near it or you'll burn, or too far off so that you'll get ill. So yeah, it's a great advice for emotional beings like us. And turns out that, yeah, this self-sabotaging nature is something which I needed to control, and it did not. And usually control it when I'm sober, but when I'm a little bit inebriated, it goes out of hands. And yeah, so that was a problem that needed to be fixed. And I knew that I'll do it. All I needed was time. So yeah, it feels great to share that with you. So in case if you have similar nature, or if you realize that you have, I understand that you're a good person, good-hearted person, but if you have a self-destructive nature, it is painful for others, because they don't know how much effort you're putting in for others. They will never know it, and you will eventually end up burning yourself out. So all you gotta do is, just take good care of yourself and work on your communication. Try to control your anger and stay away from the intoxicants, which makes things worse, which actually, it acts like a catalyst. So, yeah, apart from that, this relationship was doomed from the beginning, because the person that I was dating, she was very practical, and I don't think you should be practical in relationships. That is a very wrong approach. You can be practical in work, or you have a similar approach towards studies, or when you're doing research. And that's when you find logic. But if you're practical in relationship, especially with an emotional person, oh man, that's doomed towards failure. That's one way road uh, towards destruction, or codependency. You see, an emotional person would do, they do like to make deep, meaningful relationship. My best friend is an emotional person as well, so we do share a bond which over the years, that has matured so beautifully. And that's the kind of relationship that I look forward towards in love as well. And it's just not possible with a practical person. A practical person can date a practical person and be absolutely fine. Their relationship would definitely be superficial, but for an emotional one, you need an emotional person to date. I would definitely recommend that. The reason I'm saying it, because she was so practical so as to give me silent treatment. And I've studied psychology, and she's a psychologist. I should not share more details, but yeah, she was a psychologist as well. And if you study psychology, you know that silent treatment is the most inhumane thing you can do to another person, especially to the one that loves you. Because even if you're right and you're given silent treatment, over time you would think, and if you're emotional as well, you would try to make it work, and you will apologize for whatever they did. So in a way, you're apologizing for nothing at all. Even when you're right, you're apologizing. They just try to manipulate you into accepting their will, which is very, very wrong. That should never happen. And it is something which ignites a self-destructive nature as well. That's probably the moment my self-destructive nature cycle that came into being, because that was an additional stress that I could not cope up with. And yeah, so if you ever find a person who is giving you silent treatment in relationship and you're suffering, just hit for the door. Seriously, it's definitely not worth it, because the other person is probably way too practical for you. If you are practical as well, you will give silent treatment as well. That's just how the world works. But with relationships, with the person you're planning on spending the rest of your life, especially in a serious relationship, that is not a possibility that you should entertain. You should always communicate and talk to the other person. I I would prefer two couples who are fighting with each other, and the next day they are trying to make things work. They are trying to work on their relationship by talking with each other. Then two people are just not speaking with each other, or maybe one person who is not speaking with the other one. That is just horrible. And I do feel that having a practical approach in relationship is something which I can never do, because I'm not wired that way. Because I find meaningful and deep relationships more more up my alley. I would say that is the only possibility for me. I That is the only thing which gratifies me. And there is a reason behind it, because a practical person would always try to you know put their survival over the other person's survival. So if you're in a relationship with a practical person and they see that you're becoming a liability, they will you know they will cut the ties and move on. But the emotional person would always stick by you. They'll try to make sure that it succeeds. Practical person would never do that. That's why practicality has no room, as per my insight. It has no room in relationships, especially long-term serious relationships. You need to have an emotional side towards it. That's how you make things work. I've learned this from my parents. Luckily, I was blessed with parents who, even though through thick and thin, they have always stood by each other. They have seen tornadoes come obliterate their lives and then just go away. They have seen each other's extremes as well, but they still every day they wake up and stay with each other. Every day they wish each other good morning, and they just they're just together. There's nothing more beautiful than that. There's there's one story. There could be just one story going on, or there could be two stories going on simultaneously, sharing the same story with each other. It's just beautiful how you know things have developed, and I crave that as well. I do want a relationship which has the capacity to retain itself for the rest of the life, because I'm the kind of person who will make things work, because I have a greater bandwidth of making things work. I have greater bandwidth of forgiving people, and if you're the kind of person that I am, who's trying to fix their flaws, who are learning from their relationship and trying to fix their flaws, you're a good person. And yeah, that's what matters. That's what really matters. I don't know how to end this video. This has been going on for way too long. It's the one takeaway message that I would like to end this video with is being emotional is not a weakness, it's a strength. You can enjoy things at a greater level, at a deeper level than most of the others can. And having a good IEQ is more important in today's world where empathy is low. It's more important than having a greater IQ. As we climb the socio-economical ladder, you would find more and more people who are practical, who care less and less about others. And somewhere down the line, you will find people with more empathy. And in the middle, you have a mix of both. So, yeah, I would say I'm a mix of both, but I've segregated emotions towards relationships and practicality towards other space of life, of practicality for making money. That's all. And yeah, it does. Since I have a high EQ, it does overflow over my business as well. I do help out others too. I go way and beyond. I like taking responsibilities. I think that's that's a good thing. Or maybe I'm just addicted to my limitations, my responsibilities. It's a difficult time, but I know I'll go through it as well. It just feels so. Sometimes it feels unfair because the other person was practical as well and gave silent treatment as well. And in today's world, if you are a male and being verbally abusive even for a second, you're looked down upon. And if the female is doing it in return, which it did, it's all good, and it's fine if because in today's world, female chauvinist is absolutely fine. So for so many years there has been a predominance of male chauvinist, and it's fine that we are facing high rising trend of female chauvinist, and that's that's cool, man. We actually deserve that. You know, it's fine if that is required to balance the playing field. But, yeah, this experience has been eye opening, and you know, it doesn't matter that you're with another person or not. You always have yourself. It has given this experience has given me the ability to actually it has actually rekindled that feeling that you always have yourself, because at the end of the day you're just a spirit traveling on a ball of dust in this universe, a small part of this universe. And yeah, if you're just a small part of universe experiencing things through someone's eyes, then you always have yourself. So yeah, I'm gonna use my spare time now towards like I said yesterday, towards creating more artistic things. I do like making graffiti, and I would start doing that from tomorrow onwards. Hopefully by the weekend you'll see an artwork, and I'll give some time to myself to relax as well. Hmm. So yeah, that's it. You guys have a great night, and the reason that I tell you to share or like is because of the fact, if there's any person, if I have more reach, I could connect with more people who might be going through similar situations. And you know, like they say, unity is strength, and you find solace when you see other humans going through the same phase as you are. And a positive influence always helps, you know, even things, even when they are bad, they are good. Whatever happens for a reason. And suffering will always make you a better person. With the higher spiritual knowledge, you would realize that you don't have to suffer for yourself to gather that insight. But that takes time, and it takes a lot of contemplation. Yeah, enough yapping. I'm gonna call it a night now. Bye bye. Sorry for ending video and starting it like this right away, because actually I saw something and it immediately gave me a great insight. So all I have to remember hereby is this, and you know, it gives two beautiful teachings that whatever that shines is not always gold. At the same time, it gives great teaching about relationship, that no matter what happens, the amount of stress, you should always stick by. Relationship is like a circle, and you are the two wings of that circle. No matter how much life tries to take you apart, at the end, you should always stick by with each other. And that's it's so that's so ironical, because that didn't happen with us, but yeah, I see that. I see that vibrating in that little piece of jewelry. So yeah, that's a that's insight that I would like to give to most of the couples out there who might be struggling. You see, it's a very Western philosophy. When I was during my young years, when I was approaching girls, I used to tell them a story about an oyster in a shell. So I used to say that most of the time in our lives, relationship, we look for relationship, and it's like an oyster, and we open it up and look for a shell. It's not there, so we close it, and then we open it up again to look for the oyster. It's still not there, and we close it. Most of the people, they spend their entire lives doing that without finding the oyster. So there's another person who goes towards the, looks for looks for a shell, opens it up, doesn't find the oyster, closes it, and immediately moves on to the next shell, ultimately finding the shell with the oyster. And that's a very Western philosophy. And if you're going for a casual relationship, it works wonders. But in serious relationship, it does not hold, because you know, spiritually speaking, oyster is something which society values. It's a materialistic thing which has been given value by the society. In reality, the shell is as beautiful as the oyster. It has as much value as the oyster. You need to find the right shell for yourself. You need to find one right shell and just find beauty in it. Stick by it, you know. See its flaws, and you know, have faith that those flaws will improve with time. Give it time. Don't just give up. Don't give up. Relationship is kind of like a mountain, or beat any sphere in your life, be it your career, be it your relationship, be it anything, you know, it's like a mountain. You gotta climb it. You're at the base thinking about the peak, worrying about it. You climb a bit and then you stop. You say it's too much risk, I can't go on. Well, it's supposed to be risky. That's why it's so rewarding at the top. You can't reap the benefits of the top at the base camp. No, that's just not possible. You gotta go through the risk. Gotta have faith. Yeah, that's something here you should always work towards. Dedicate your life towards others, you know. You'll have time to work on your desires. Maybe after 40, 45, maybe even after 50, you know. Life is still young. If you're taking good care of yourself, even after 50, you'll be fine. And if you keep on following the self destructive cycle, or you may not be fine, but one day or the other, you'll realize that you need to fix yourself. Most of the people, they live their entire lives without realizing the flaws that they have. And I hope that you do not make that mistake, because that's not part of the evolution. We're not meant to be the same person throughout our lives. We are meant to evolve into better ones. That's how this world would be saved. You know, there are great things that I want to share with you guys, but you know, there's right time for everything. I would like to discuss about topics of spirituality and universe itself, and other things, you know, which we do not talk about in day-to-day life because we are so busy. But you know, this fasting has given me enough time to contemplate on various things, and I feel like it's it's the right time to relay uh, the ideas that I have, and maybe there are people who can connect to it and who would find that they are not alone in this in their thinking. And maybe they'll benefit from it. I don't know, maybe they'll benefit from it. I don't worry about the results. Worry I just don't worry. I just do it in the present. Try to make the most of it, and the results come later. You know, one needs to set an aim and just work towards it. That's all, without worrying about whether they'll succeed or not. So yeah, I feel like doing this, and I will continue with my water fast for another couple of days so that I get more insights that I could share with you guys. All right, keep living the good life, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.